wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Nice to see you all. I believe we have some Dhamma questions.
Question 1. Dear Prajan, if my practice slips, how do we best start again? Thank you.
Very good question. So, oftentimes the reason a person's practice falls away is simply because of getting busy, or sometimes perhaps a negative emotion can get deeply established in the mind for a period of time and chip away at clarity. So we all have that experience of needing to restart. And I think chanting is very important, plays a very important role in Buddhist practice, because if your mind has become kind of dull or darkened or very restless, when you come to sit, there's not going to be that much clarity, and the mind is already flowing out to such an extent that it's difficult to restrain. So this is where we need to have some tools in our toolbox of practices, and we need to have some disciplines. So traditionally in Buddhist practice, chanting has played a very important role, certainly in all monastic traditions, and also in the lay followings, certainly in the Theravadan Buddhist world. So chanting a few of your favorite chants energetically, loudly. Sometimes you might not feel like it, and then we need to understand that this is like a medicine that we have to take. And if we don't feel well, sometimes you don't feel like taking the medicine. But when you do it, you probably will notice that if you do it 2 or 3 days in a row, there will be an increase in good mental energy and clarity. So for myself, I've been quite busy with preparing things for my permanent residency application, 7 or 8 hours a day of classic kind of office work, thinking of things outside, having to pay a lot of attention to a lot of details. And so when I came 3 days ago, had the opportunity to have a retreat in my monk's cabin. When I get up in the morning, I didn't particularly feel like chanting, but I made myself chant. And today is the 3rd day when I got up, I wanted to chant. So sometimes you have to force yourself, and because you know it's good for you, this is motivated by loving kindness, chanting takes the mind off the other things that it's thinking about. So it's a replacement by opposites, is putting the mind on a wholesome object that helps us recollect Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. So chant for 15 or 20 minutes or half an hour, and then do your meditation. And listening to a Dhamma talk as well. Do your chanting for half an hour if you've got time. Do your chanting for half an hour, listen to a Dhamma talk for half an hour, and then do your meditation. Then you will have placed the mind on wholesome objects and inclined the mind towards Dhamma. The mind will be more likely to settle and rest inward. But I think discipline and consistency. So if things have slipped, that means probably we haven't been consistent. And so we have to set the resolution that you will re-establish the daily discipline in a non-negotiable way. That's how we restart our practice. And if you can, increase from 1 session to 2 sessions. If you're middle-aged and semi-retired, please increase to 3 sessions, morning, afternoon, and evening. Or if you're unemployed, increase to 5 sessions. I'm going to show you one of the results of my busyness. Would you like to see my resume?
Of course, Ajahn.
This is Atsalo Bhikkhu's professional resume. See how thick it is? Do you like that? Graphics? I had something to do with the design. Would you buy a used car from that monk? Anyway.
How many pages is there, Ajahn?
Lompoli, my preceptor, the governor of the province, writing his letter of support. 290 pages, I believe. I'll tell you exactly. 294. So anyway, wish me luck.
I did send out some of the photos of your bio out in the emails and
Yes.
in the WhatsApp as well. So, but they haven't seen very much in the inside the pages. But 200 over pages, that's a fair bit. But it's very nice. Very well done, John.
Yes, if you have to do something, do it properly.
There's Ajah's motto.
Yeah, even if you don't want to. If you have to do it properly. Next question.
Prajan, thank you for the detailed guidance on Asubha Kamata. I'm wondering if Prajan can also advise how can we do death contemplation to arouse energy or urgency in our practice. Do we recall the death of loved ones? Do we, when mind is more composed after breath meditation, imagine the dying process? Or do we consistently contemplate the body is decaying? Thank you, Prajan, with metta.
So the answer is all of these ways and more. Basically, death meditation is something that we have to do a lot, and in different ways at different times. So one way, an important way, is just to kind of acknowledge the fact of death. And one of the ways to do that is to ask oneself a simple question. Is it possible that I could die today? So this is the beginning of the contemplation. Is it possible that I could die today? And oftentimes there's an assumption that we won't. This is this grasping at permanence that we have. And so we ask ourselves a sincere question, is it possible that I could die today? And if we are truthful with ourselves, we acknowledge that it is indeed possible. Then also it's important to do loving kindness meditation first. It's important that you don't use death meditation as a way to, it's not a violent practice. You're not, but these methods are quite powerful and confronting. So we have to establish the attitude of loving kindness. You're aiming at developing insight so that you can realize the potential of a conscious being, which is unshakable peace and unceasing bliss. Once the greed, hatred, and delusion falls away and the mind is purified. So you're not trying to kill the self, but you are trying to chip away at ignorance. But it's important to come with the right intention. So first of all, we do some metta and we do some breath meditation and we pick up the death contemplation with a pure intention to realize our ultimate potential. So then with that attitude, we consider the ways that we might die. And then so that could be falling over in the bathroom, It could be falling down a flight of stairs. It could be someone else's car coming into the lane and crashing into your car. It could be murder. It could be a virus. It could be a bomb dropped on your head. It could be a weather event. So actually give some thought to the ways that you could die. And the effect that this should have upon the mind is that the mind should become a little more sober, a little more still. And the consequences in your life of being mindful of the fact that you could die on any day from any number of causes is that we will tend to be more heedful and less heedless. We tend to focus on our Dharma practice more because it starts to seem more obviously an important thing to give attention to. If you have more time and you're going to take death awareness as a kammatthana, not just a reflective meditation, that you're actually going to use it to deepen insight. Yes, there's various ways that we can recollect it. So you recollect people that you know who already died. And just keeping it in mind, that perception of, and you can use the word maranang. I use death reflection in conjunction with the breathing. Breathing in maranang, breathing out maranang. And just to bring to mind the fact that my both grandfathers, both grandmothers, my father have passed away. Just acknowledge that. Those who came before me have already left that birth. Other people that you know, and in recent Thai history, the Thai king, Ajahn Mahabua, Lumpur Blian. So I bring to mind the great monks, teachers who have passed away in recent years, and just acknowledge the fact that yes, even the arahants, the body died. Breathing in maranang, breathing out maranang. So that's one way to contemplate death, just being aware. And just keep picking up perceptions which help you, the people that you know. It could be the people dying over the coronavirus, and people die of flu in about equal numbers every year anyway. Just bringing to mind that people die, but you can try to keep it. It's like you don't want it to get too scattered. You want it to be a little bit focused. So you pick up a theme. You might just bring to mind all of the people who are currently dying of flu or a coronavirus, or you might bring to mind all of the people who are currently dying because of cancer, or all of the people who will die today because of car accidents. And you just different people will get different reflective methods, different examples will resonate with different characters differently. So you find a way which really brings it home to you. And then if the mind becomes peaceful, allow it to be peaceful. So Marananusati is a samatha practice. Should bring the mind to a state of calm. Marananusati can bring the mind to the point of upajjhara samadhi. And Ajahn Anan took this as his main practice for the first 4 years of his bhikkhu life. And he could stay in a state of upajjhara samadhi, which means only wholesome thoughts, very few thoughts, feeling of lightness of body, lightness of mind, well-being. Ajahn Anan was so adept that he could be in a state of upajjhara samadhi all day until he fell asleep and woke up, and he would still be in the upajjhara state, and he maintained that for a couple of months. So that's the power of that practice. If a person is gifted in constantly bringing to mind the fact of death, and it can lead to being very peaceful and having very few heedless thoughts and hindrances. When, with regards contemplating a corpse that decays, that's a different practice. That's the asubha kammatthana, or the body contemplation, and unattractive nature of the body. And so obviously there's a very close link you meditate upon the fact that you may die. Then you can visualize yourself in front of you as a corpse. And then you imagine the way that body would decay. And bloating first, the insects, the worms, and then the dogs, and the bones being scattered, and eventually even the bones becoming dust, and finally the dust blowing away. But you shouldn't be in a hurry to, you really take some time contemplating the bloated stage, the disintegrating stage, the drying out, just bones left, bones breaking up over a period of decades, etc. And there's various ways to do that. You can just be focusing on the change. So you might want to do corpse contemplation, and you just make the intention, this time I'm going to focus on the anicca, the way that it changes. Or next time you come to it, you say, this time I'm going to contemplate on the elemental aspect, that after the body bloats, there's still a lot of liquid there. The liquid drains away. So you're just mindful of the water element, returning to the water element. And then as it's drying out, it becomes more obvious that what is left is earth element. And then eventually, just bones crumbling, only earth element, and it gets blown away by the wind element, and nothing left at all. 4 elements in empty space, no body, no I, no self. So that takes probably need a more retreat-like situation to be able to take that on as a kammatthana. Very fruitful. I mentioned in doing the Asubha Kammatthana, in talking about the Asubha Kammatthana the other week, that as far as I'm aware, the great forest masters of this era, many of them got their higher insights, path and fruit, and became established in Nibbana through doing their body contemplation. So it's very fruitful. But of course they were bringing a certain amount of samadhi that they had to the practice. So that practice was very a combination of the Buddha's middle way, combination of the right mindfulness and right collectedness with right thought, right contemplation, destroying greed, hatred, and delusion, and resulting in Nibbana. So they definitely are practices that we can trust. But as I said, balance it with the metta, establish the intention, purify the mind to realize freedom from suffering. That's the intention. And then explore it in all of those ways. I wish you every success.
Thank you, Prajan. Prajan, question 3. I have recently discovered that someone dear to me was telling a significant amount of lies to me. I believe solely for the purpose of inflating my opinion on them. Please discuss tools to reconcile pain, anger, and resentment which arise when betrayed. Also, please provide your thoughts on trusting someone after they have broken trust. Thank you.
Multifaceted question. So, probably going to start with the last part of that question. How do you re-establish trust after a person has broken trust? So, I guess the big question is do you re-establish trust once somebody has broken trust? So, for myself, the foundation of friendship is truthfulness and openness. That's the foundation. So if a person is, as this person is asking, has been untruthful about several things, then even if the intention was to please this person or appear impressive, if that person has a significant tendency towards deception and is willing to tell many lies about many things, for myself, I don't want that person to be my friend. So that doesn't mean that you have aversion for the person. That doesn't mean you hold a grudge. This is a very important area which requires nuance. So just making a decision that you don't trust a person does not mean that you hate the person. It means that they have proved to you or demonstrated to you that they are untrustworthy. And so we forgive, we can radiate loving kindness, and then we contemplate where is the boundary. And you can have a very firm boundary which is based in loving kindness for yourself, that you don't. As Buddhists, we aspire to realize ultimate truth. And the thing that is going to liberate us to realize ultimate truth is truthfulness. So we ourselves need to be very truthful. It's one of the 5 precepts, not to lie, not to be deceitful. We have to be very truthful with ourselves about what's affecting our mind, what motivates us in our speech and actions. And we have to listen to teachings about truth, and we have to be truthful with other people. And so that's a foundation of our ethical behavior. So Lord Buddha says that Kalyana is the entirety of the practice. Lovely spiritual companions, or association with the lovely. Some people interpret that statement as meaning, even internally, we have to associate with that which is lovely. That's why the entirety of the holy life is association with the lovely. So even in our own minds, we have to associate with lovely qualities, and not the kilesa. So, but if this person is someone who we care for, and if you feel that this person is, there's a phrase we use in Buddhism, trainable. So if the person is very sorry, and if a person asks forgiveness, and they make a commitment that they won't lie, well then that may be a workable situation, but we have to make that assessment. How much has this person lied to other people? And is it within their capacity to make that commitment? If you think it is within their capacity to make that commitment and you give them the chance, well then in a way, you're training that person how to be a true human being. It's a huge gift to give to another person. So that's a personal choice. How many chances do you want to give somebody? And so if you care for a person, if the person is generally sorry, if they admit fault, if they ask for another chance, then you can give them another chance. And if they prove once again that they are not truthful, they tell more lies or are deceptive, then I think it's okay to have a firm boundary. And you can wish a person well, have loving kindness for them, but you don't have to be a close friend or associate. In terms of how we deal with feelings of hurt, this is where we have to reflect on karma. If someone has come into our life and has been deceptive, has told lies to us or about us, we should consider the fact that we've probably done that in the past, and that this is karma ripening. So that's humbling when we reflect upon the power of karma and the law of karma, and then you realize that there's no one really to blame. That if we're going to blame someone, we have to blame things we did in the past, and that's not so skillful either. So we can try to stop blaming. It's important to understand the cause is karmic, and then that's why we have to keep our precepts strictly and to not make any more of those kind of karmas. But we've all lied and we've all deceived people in the past, probably in this life and definitely in previous lives, before we met the Buddha's training and made a commitment to it. So we've sowed the causes to be lied to be deceived, to be betrayed. So we commit to new causes which are going to lead to us meeting lovely spiritual friends and true teachings. And yeah, but it's okay to have firm boundaries, firm and gentle, and to forgive but not trust. And when it comes to not trusting somebody, that's not a fixed perception. You're not holding a grudge. You're just aware this person demonstrated that they are not yet trustworthy. With your mindfulness and clear comprehension, if that person evolves, their behavior improves, and they appear then to be a person in the future who is trustworthy, well, then we give them another chance. But if a person repeatedly proves that they're not trustworthy, then we have to keep a safe distance, or just don't believe what they say.
I'll jump to question number 5. Tan Ajahn, my inquiry is relating to the triple gem. For my whole life, I experienced Dhamma clearly on many levels. And during my time in the monastery, the presence of Dhamma comes across strongly through the Sangha. For a long time, for me, the word Buddha is Dhamma manifesting through the enlightened human beings. Recently, I hear from another Tan Ajahn this phrase, Dhamma comes from the Buddha. When I heard this, something deep inside instantly sharpens and agrees. It caused me to look deeper as to what this word Buddha really points to. For a brief moment, I glimpsed the presence of Buddha as immediate and in real time, as I have been experiencing Dhamma. Tan Ajahn, can you share some pointers to help us with this?
I think there's a few ways to, basically this person's mind, contemplations of Dhamma seems wholesome, so I don't know if they need pointers, but I wouldn't agree that the Dhamma comes from the Buddha. So in some respects, yes, but let me elaborate. So Dhamma is ultimate truth. So ultimate truth is ultimate truth with or without Buddhas. Truth is truth, and ultimate nature is ultimate nature. What happens is most beings aren't aware of it because their minds are affected by ignorance and delusion. A Buddha comes along, realizes it, and so in that regard, yes, a Buddha realizes Dhamma. The Buddha's mind is purified and liberated through realizing Dhamma, ultimate truth. And then the Buddha formulates the teachings to help us realize the same ultimate truth. And so yes, if you know good monks and nuns, the sense of their living according to Dhamma, Ajahn Chah uses that phrase, hearing Dhamma, seeing Dhamma, being Dhamma. That's as a practitioner progresses, at first they're hearing Dhamma, resonating. Yes, that makes sense. And then as they practice more deeply, the 3 ways to cultivate wisdom, by listening, studying, then contemplating, then through direct experience in meditation. So we begin to glimpse Dhamma, vipassana jnana insights, and temporary liberations. May have some experience of nibbana. It may have experience of the body and the mind without a self-view, and have some, often it's the direct perception of anicca, impermanence, that helps that sense of self fall away for a period of time. And then the awareness experiences the body and mind without a self-view present, and then goes deeper, can experience nibbana. But the ultimate truth is there, always. And does a Buddha exist? This is a question Lord Buddha wouldn't answer. Does a Buddha exist? Or he wouldn't describe the state. There's certain questions the Buddha won't answer. Is the Buddha is the Buddha's purified mind in the universe or outside of the universe? He wouldn't answer these kind of questions. But he did say that Buddha's teachings are not nihilism, nor are they eternalism. So the Buddha's mind isn't annihilated. But because there's no being experiencing unshakable, unceasing bliss and peace and liberation, you can't say it's eternalism either. But I think it is fair to say that the purified and liberated mind remains. And the Buddha did say that those who see the Dhamma see the Buddha. And so it probably goes in the same way. Those who see the Buddha truly see the Buddha, see the Dhamma. But we can contemplate these things in a way which gladdens the mind, brightens the mind, makes us very confident in the power of Dhamma, in the refuge of Dhamma, refuge of Buddha, refuge of Dhamma, refuge of Sangha, so that we keep developing on this path of hearing Dhamma, seeing Dhamma, eventually being Dhamma. And when you are being Dhamma, there won't be any self-view that you grasp at. It's not a self that is being Dhamma. It's a body and mind which has realized ultimate truth. And ultimate truth permeates experience.
Thank you, Prajan. The next question, number 6. Can Ajahn talk about merit, dedication as a mental faculty and how to cultivate it, as well as its relationship to adhitthana? Thank you.
So I don't think it's a faculty. It's a volitional activity. So there is wholesome karma and unwholesome karma and neutral karma. That's the part of the law of the conditioned world. There is karma. Some of it is wholesome, some of it is unwholesome, some of it is neutral. So as Buddhist practitioners, we do things to generate wholesome karma. That's punya, that's merit. And Lord Buddha says that this is praiseworthy. In fact, he admonished the monks not to criticize people who do things for the sake of making merit, because merit is synonymous with happiness. So we do things to produce merit, but we do it with that pure intention that we want to liberate ourselves from greed, hatred, and delusion. We don't do it just to be rich or just to be famous or just to be beautiful. That's worldly. Some people do that. Merit is merit, and it can deliver those results. And but you can be a rich and beautiful person who still has a lot of suffering. So it's not the best thing to aspire for. We aspire to good situations that we can practice in. And sometimes being rich and famous and beautiful isn't the best situation. So if you look at the greatest monks in Thailand of last century, most of them were born as farmers in northeast Thailand. And so we aspire to be born in the most suitable situation that we can meet and grow in Dhamma. But in terms of it, we recollect the merit and we consciously dedicate it. So in a way, that's adhitthana is like determining. You determine merit in a particular way. And sometimes we have to be determined to produce the merit. For example, if I go to India, to Bodh Gaya, and I decide that I'm going to sit 400 hours of meditation in 6 weeks, as I have done several times, I have to set the determination to do that. Once I've set the determination, I have to do that. And it does dedicate, it does generate merit. So during that time, my father had cancer. And one of my intentions of practicing that intensely in Bodh Gaya was to generate punya to dedicate to my father. And I originally hoped that his cancer would get better due to the sincerity of the practice. But he didn't get better, but he also didn't have much pain. And so I began to have sometimes if you meditate a lot, 10 hours a day for more than a month, I think most people will appreciate that you probably develop some intuition about things, a kind of a gut sense of what's going on. Sometimes you might have dreams or visions, things which help you get a bit of a sense about situations. The sense I developed about my father is because he was a commercial fisherman for a period of years. When I was age 10 and 11, my father was a commercial fisherman. So that means he killed hundreds of thousands of living beings. My sense was the karma that was ripening for my father was the karma of having killed all of those beings, and that he had to experience some of the pain of dying of cancer before he died, and that was actually a good thing, because if he didn't experience it yet, when he passed away, he might not attain to a human birth. If that heavy negative karma ripened when he left this birth, he may have gone to a lower birth. So, but I do think that my practice helped him to not have to experience too much pain. And so my father stayed at home until 6 days before he died, eating by himself and going to the bathroom by himself. But it wasn't until the week before he passed away that liquid started going into his lungs, because he had lung cancer. So the liquid built up to the point that he couldn't breathe. And so he had to go to the hospital. And then a few days later, he passed away. So I do believe that the merit dedications helped my father to live a fairly normal life without too much pain and without too much depression. And, but he had to experience some pain. So yeah, doing things which produce merit and then consciously dedicating that merit is something that I certainly do, and I have some faith in. And similarly, Thanajananand was having a lot of health problems, my dear teacher. And when I was building my chedi, I was dedicating a portion of the merit to the long life of my beloved teacher. And he also is building a chedi for that, probably the same reason, to increase his own lifespan. So yes, we do things consciously, understanding that it generates punya, and then we determine that merit in very specific ways. So chedis in particular are associated with long life and good health. Don't ask me why. I didn't make the rules, but I have heard that that's the case. And so oftentimes when the senior monks get old and a little bit illness starts to manifest, they will often build a big chedi. So Thanajan Thanajananand built chedis. Ajahn Mahabua sponsored a chedi in a different monastery, a very big chedi, and he did live, I think, another 10 or so years. So yeah. So chanting, different ways to make merit, giving physical things, giving our time. But Lord Buddha says keeping ethical precepts produces more punya or more potent punya than the giving of physical things. And then the mental cultivation, making the time to chant, to meditate, study Dhamma, reflect wisely, produces even more punya, more potent merit. The loving kindness, generating loving kindness, Lord Buddha said it's the merit that is most conducive to heavenly rebirth of all of the things that we can do, cultivate loving kindness. Direct perception of anicca, impermanence, generates the most merit of all. So even so, we should cultivate all of those types of merit because they will bring different kind of fruit. For example, understanding that meditation produces the most merit, you might decide that you're just going to meditate. You're not going to be generous. It's like, well, there was a monk in the time of the Buddha that went on alms round and he never got any food put in his bowl because he'd been so stingy in past lives. And apparently he was an arahant. And he was so thin and emaciated, but even the merit of being an arahant, because he had not sown the causes of being generous with food and may possibly have stolen or at least been very stingy, he couldn't get any food on his alms round. I think, and the commentary says even once Sariputta put some of his own food into this arahant's bowl because he felt sorry for him, and the food vanished before his eyes. It was like he just did not have the merit to have food. So we need to understand that make all sorts of merit in all sorts of ways, cover all bases. You want to have enough of the four requisites, and you want to meet with the teachings, and you want to have practice opportunities. So, I mean, one of the reasons supporting Sangha is very valuable is because you're giving people the opportunity to practice. That should ripen as you yourself having opportunities to practice in the future. So, giving food to the Sangha, etc. Then when you are a monk or a nun, somebody will come and feed you.
Thank you so much, Ajahn, for the detailed explanation of merits. Ajahn, the next question, which is also our last question. It seems mudita, empathetic joy, is less emphasized in Dhamma talks and meditation. Why is that the case? How important is that? How should we cultivate it? Thank you.
Yes. I agree. It's not talked about very much. I do think it's important, and I don't want to rush an answer. So how about this? Next time, I will give a guided mudita meditation and talk about the benefits of mudita as a theme for next week. Good idea? Next fortnight.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We have a mudita theme on the 23rd of September.
Right. Just give me a little bit more time to get over my grumpiness about Thai bureaucracies, and then I'll get in the mood for mudita.
Is it next week, Ajahn, or is it the next following week?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sadhu.
So shall we do some chanting? Dedication of merits?
Yes, Ajahn.
Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled.
Prajan,
Yes,
are you
John.
still busy with all your what do you call this admin work?
So
Or have you already finished already?
No, I'm not finished. But it's down from 9 hours a day to 3 hours a day now.
That's
And
pretty long.
I do have more time to meditate. I think something astrological or karmic for me is ripening, where I have to get the paperwork together now. And seems like for the last 10 years, someone else has been doing it, and it's been living in a certain kind of times. Maybe astrologers would say something to do with Saturn or something, but obviously the whole world is going through a bit of a shakedown right now. And we need to get our house in order. It's a good time to be where you want to be most. And so, yeah, I have felt a bit of frustration that it's so hard for a Buddhist monk to be able to live in a Buddhist country. But it's a difficult time for the world, isn't it? So we can, when faced with challenges, we can give up easily. I mean, it'd be very easy to feel sorry for myself and say, okay, I'm not good enough for Thailand. Thailand isn't good enough for me. Big sense of self, and go somewhere else. That would be easy in the short term. But the fact is, I've spent 2 decades, more than 2 decades, 24 years, making this my home. And sometimes, as you all know, sometimes you have to work hard to accomplish things. So it's worth working hard for. And if you find that you have to do something, well then a way to make parami is to do your very best. So I did not enjoy having to do 7, 8, 9 hours of office style work a day for the last 3 months. But I am producing 2 hopefully very beautiful Thai Dhamma books and a biography. I set the intention, if I have to write a biography, I will write a biography that will be helpful, uplifting, inspiring to people. It has a focus on gratitude to my own teachers, so it becomes exercise in Sangha Nusati and gratitude for all of the places that I've been able to practice in. So it's a treatise on gratitude, and at the same time, people who read it will learn a lot about the forest tradition, and they will learn a lot about my teachers and what they taught. And then I also, me being me, if I'm going to do it, it has to be beautiful. So so I've chosen many very beautiful photographs, and so there are pictures of various holy sites and holy individuals, and beautiful pictures of this monastery. So then if I have to leave, suppose I'm not given permission, I'm not given my permanent residency visa, I can leave knowing that I tried my hardest. And this is also a gift to my students in Thailand, because suppose my visa application is rejected, rather than being upset with me because I didn't try, all of the Thai people will be upset with their own government. But the relationship between me and my students will be one of, well, he tried his hardest, our Ajahn. And so that is also a way, not giving them an excuse to be upset with me in the future. And also not giving myself a cause to feel remorse that I didn't try. So I have tried my hardest, and at the very least there should be some nice Dharma books. And And hopefully that makes merit, and there will, if I cannot practice in this country any longer, there will be another place where I will be welcome. So,
Sadhu, sadhu, Ajahn.
but we are
We
making the application in just a couple of weeks now. So,
we wish you good luck, Ajahn.
thank you.
And we're going to dedicate a lot of merits for you so that you can stay in Thailand and very near to Malaysia. Not too far away.
Yes.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to pay our respect to you, Ajahn, before you leave.
Okay, and if you still find yourself in a situation where you have to spend a lot of time at home, please take it as it probably doesn't feel like a blessing, but remember how you used to complain when you were busy that you didn't have enough time. And now just humbly acknowledge, hey, I have time. And please use your time. Read those. Now I know how much work goes into Dhamma books. I am much more appreciative of them. So read those dusty old Dharma books on your shelf that you haven't read, and chant and meditate, and make the best of the opportunity that you have while you still have it.
Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you. 3 bows, please. Grab. Grab. Grab.
Thank you.
So I let
See
you.
you soon.
Yes, I let you into my meditation room. I let you into my inner sanctum tonight. So I hope you feel lucky. Do you feel lucky?
Sure, Ajahn. That's why I asked you, where is this place? I thought you were not in Anandagiri. I thought you were somewhere else.
That means I must trust you now.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Some of you will be wondering, other people put books on their bookshelves. Ajahn Achalo put statues on his bookshelves. So, if you're thinking, what do I have to do to get such a beautiful collection of statues? All you have to do is be a monk for 25 years, build a monastery, teach retreats, lead pilgrimages, and you'll have a fabulous collection of statues. Probably be easier to get them on eBay. Okay, bye.
Have a good rest, Ajahn.
Thank you. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to my walking meditation path now.
Enjoy.
Okay, enjoy. Good luck,
Thank you.
Ajahn. See you soon.
Good
Bye.
evening. I wish you all well wherever you are. Lovely to spend time with you.
And we wish you too well.
Thank you.
Stay safe, Ajahn. Bye.
Okay.